Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome to the show. It is, I got to hit the button. There's my face. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Happy Tuesday and all that stuff. And a whole bunch of stuff today regarding the coof, because there's a little news there. And then I'm going to go random after that, because I don't really have a lot of bookmarks today. But I'm glad you're here. I'm just going to play the intro, and we're going to get into it. So, Johnny, play the intro. Johnny. Hey, wake up over there. Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way, but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, yours truly, PDawg Knight. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as Dawg Knight on the internet. And welcome back to the Dawg Knight Channel. It's Tuesday, the 30th of March, 2021. Did I get the right year? Yeah, 21. And I hope you're having a great morning. There's a whole bunch, not a whole bunch of news, but there's some things that happen regarding the coof and how people are talking about it. And it's such a political thing now, and I just don't understand it. We've really made this all about, rather than really caring about people and trying to make sure we protect as many people as possible and protect the people that are the most vulnerable. It's become a control mechanism, and it's really, really frustrating. By the way, if you're wondering what's up with the fireworks, if you don't remember, this is my birthday week. It's not my birthday yet. My birthday's on Easter, but I'm celebrating all week. That's why. So it's just one of those, that's why I got the fireworks going in the background. I don't know if you're wondering or not, but anyway, so it's all been political, and I have a new hashtag. What did I put up there? Did I say resist or resist? What did I say? Whoever came up with this last night, I'm making shirts. And it's resist Faustism. I just thought that was so funny, and I thought, that would make a great t-shirt. So look for my new merch coming out soon. I just find that funny. Anyway, like I do on most mornings, or almost every morning, I'm going to say hello to everybody before we get into the show, because there's a whole bunch of people here already. By the way, during the show, if you decide you like what we're doing, hit the like button sometime during the show. Also, be great if you could share it now. Hit that share button or go and send it out on whatever social media you use, or you can follow me on Twitter, Minds, Gab, Parler, or CloudHub, and repost or retweet or whatever they do on that particular platform. And the notification that I send out on all those platforms. And if you really like me, you can throw a couple bucks in the tip jar or become a sponsor of the show through Streamlabs and or YouTube SuperChats, which you know how that works, and those pop up in the description. But let's say good morning, everybody. In the chat first today was Becca Farley, who gets the bell. Thank you, Becca, for being here bright and early, and I do appreciate you tweeting out the show like you always do. Also, good morning, Keenan. Nice to see you bright and early. Also, Evil One and Evil Clipazine. Now that's a new name. Good morning. Not 100% new, but just newish. Also, good morning, Maddie and Ronan, my road warriors. Nice to see you in the chat. Also, good morning, Jonathan Peterson. Good morning, Mike Savage, Blarg. Hello, Selecta Boy.
Yeah, boy.
Also, good morning, Molly Maggs, Evan S. Drew W., first time watching the show, came over from Monkey in the Morning, and I'm glad you're here. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. Nice to have you here. Also, good morning, Green Badger Outdoors, Somnambule Nation, Paul Farrell, Tarai Deos, Jesse Leon, the one who, formerly known as the one who tubes. Yo, what up, Marty and peeps? Chilling like Bob Dylan, making a millin', nose like Krillin, in the sun grilling with the gold tooth filling. Straight illin', yes. That's quite a mouthful. All right. Good morning, Howard Welsh, James PFP, Balin Bobby. Did I say Jesse Leon already? Well, I'm saying it again if I didn't. Hello. Also, Cynical Lindsay, Renee Mayette, Hyman Lyman, Tony A. What's happening? Uh-oh, the chat jumped on me. It always does that. Make sure I get everybody here. Okay, there's Tony A. Okay, cool. Don Keating's in the house. Nice to see you. Good morning, Amy in Connecticut. Sean DW. Check your logic. Atheist Icon. MC's in the house.
Stop. Hammer time.
Also, the pissed off Shih Tzu. Do not piss off the Shih Tzu. I'm telling you, don't piss off the Shih Tzu. Also, good morning, Snoopy. And that looks like the end of my list there so far. So if you're here and I haven't said your name, I'll probably figure it out eventually and say hi. But don't feel slighted if I don't say hi. Don't always pay the greatest attention to the chat. I try. But again, it is birthday week, so we'll hear the horn every once in a while. And I hope you have a good time. Now, so yesterday, there's been a little activity regarding how people talk about the coof. You know, they started talking about doing vaccine passport. I shouldn't say that word, should I? I probably should say the I'll call it Fauci juice. So the Fauci juice passports, and then now apparently Dr. Birx went on CNN. I guess there was some little pseudo documentary about the pandemic. Good morning, Bastard Beast. About the pandemic on, I think, CNN, and they're kind of dumping on Trump, you know, saying, oh yeah, things could have been prevented if he'd have just done this and that. And I'm thinking to myself, when I'm seeing this, I'm thinking, wait a minute. Wait one damn minute. As soon as we knew that there was this issue coming up, by the way, Advocatus Diablo, the devil's advocate, how you doing? As soon as we saw the fact that this disease was happening in the country of origin that shall not be named, we started talking about it, and they put together a task force, and it just so happens that the people that on the task force that were the most significant people just happened to be Dr. Anthony Fauci, Fauci, Fauxci, and what's her name, Deborah Birx, right? And now they're kind of trashing him in the media. And I'm like, what's that all about? Are they trying to keep the luster on their names and off of, you know, because it's easy. It's easy to just go back and attack Donald Trump, right? Because everybody hates Trump. Well, all of them do. By the way, thank you, Paul Farrell. First of all, for the first sponsorship of the day with Is it Alex? Is it Hamilton? I don't know who that is. It's Grant or Hamilton. I don't know what it is. Whatever's on the 10. Oh, Grant's on the Hyundai. Anyway, thank you very much. Very generous donation. Who says happy birthday, old timer? Well, thank you very much, Paul Farrell. And Paul Farrell, by the way,
you are the new Streamlabs Superstar Donor of the Day.
Thank you so much. Thank you for kicking off birthday week for us. Actually, well, that was started yesterday. But anyway, I very, very, very greatly appreciate it. Although old timer, wow. I have to think about that. Yeah, I kind of am, aren't I? I kind of resemble that remark, I guess. Oh my gosh, I'm going to be 57. Good God. Anyway, I look pretty fucking good for 57. Anyway, so anyway, they're kind of, you know, chirping, making a little blame on Donald Trump. Well, now, you know, our former president isn't one to he's not one to be meek and stay quiet on things like that. And so he decided to fire off a little answer to Dr. Birx in particular, and also Dr. Fauci. And Donald Trump returns fire, trashes self-promoter Fauci and Birx. And it's weird because Okay, I'm going to do this aside. Is it just me? Hello, Jonas Pedersen. Nice to see you. Is it just me, or lately that Dr. Fauci there is not a camera that he will not put his face in front of. It's amazing. I'm starting to see him everywhere. Holy crap. And so here we go. Former President Donald Trump on Monday attacked. That's a media word. Attacked Doctors Anthony Fauci and Deborah Birx after they faulted his management of the COVID-19 response. It's interesting because I know for a fact there was a time when Dr. Fauci got in front of the mics and said that Donald Trump did everything we recommended. So if they didn't like his management of it, well, he only did the shit that they told him to do. But that's okay. Whatever. The prominent members of Trump's White House coronavirus task force said in a CNN special that Trump imperiled the public, but in his rebuttal, Trump accused them of shifting blame. Trump included jabs at Fauci's botched opening pitch at a baseball game in July, which has nothing to do with the pandemic, and Birx's controversy involving a seemingly hypocritical Thanksgiving trip. Based on their interviews, I felt it was time to speak up, but Dr. Fauci and Dr. Birx, two self-promoters trying to reinvent history to cover for their bad instincts and faulty recommendations, which I fortunately almost always overturned, Trump said in the emailed statement. Well, no, now, Donald, we know that the recommendations early on, everyone followed along, but that's okay. Whatever, sometimes he embellishes a little bit. All right. Trump said in the emailed statement, they had bad policy decisions that would have left our country open to China and others. Closed. Oh, he's talking about I think he's talking about closing off travel, and then they agreed and they all ended up doing it. Anyway, they had bad policy decisions that would have left our country open to China and others, closed to reopening our economy, and years away from an approved vaccine, putting millions of lives at risk. Trump said that his administration developed vaccines in record time, 9 months, which is saving the entire world, and that Fauci is the king of flip-flops and moving the goalposts to make himself look as good as possible. Well, I can't disagree with that. Hello, Tony A. Good morning, Katie Did Skate. Nice to have you here. In a fake interview last night on CNN, this is Trump speaking, Dr. Fauci, who said he was an athlete in college but couldn't throw a baseball even close to home plate. It was a roller, tried to take credit for the vaccine when in fact he said it would take 3 to 5 years. Now that's a fact. Fauci was saying that he didn't expect to see a vaccine until the end of this year, maybe early next year. And I'm talking 2021, 2022, when even when Trump said they might have it by the end of the year, I remember Fauci kind of doubting it and saying, "Oh, don't be too optimistic." So I'm not sure. No, I didn't. Excuse me. I have to have a sip of the reparations here. Hang on. I don't recall Fauci being as optimistic about the vaccines as Trump was. But anyway, back to Trump here. Let's see. He tried to take credit for the vaccine when in fact he said it would take 3 to 5 years and probably longer to have it approved. Dr. Fauci was incapable of pressing the FDA to move it through faster. I was the one to get it done. And even the fake news media knows and reports this, Trump said. He fought me so hard because he wanted to keep our country open to countries like China. I closed it again against his strong recommendation, which saved many lives. Dr. Fauci also said we didn't need to wear masks. True. Then a few months later said we needed to wear masks, and now 2 or 3 of them. Fauci spent U.S. money on the Wuhan lab in China, and we now know how that worked out, Trump said. Trump said Fauci and Birx moved far too slowly, and if it were up to them, we'd currently be locked in our basements as our country suffered through a financial depression. Families and children in particular would be suffering the mental strains of this disaster like never before. In his interview, Fauci appeared to claim credit for vaccine development and criticized Trump for tweeting in April 2020 that states should be liberated from the draconian COVID-19 lockdown, saying that hit me like a punch in the chest. Burke said that after the first 100,000 U.S. deaths from the virus, all the rest could have been mitigated or decreased substantially. I'd really like to know how it grew over the entire world. Is there something that we could have done that they didn't do in the rest of the world that had the same issues? I'm really curious about that. And if that's the case, why didn't they open their mouths when back then if they thought that there was something they could have done? I'm not understanding this. She said all of the rest could have been mitigated or decreased substantially. States have reported about 550,000 COVID-19 deaths. Burks also said that she and Trump had a very uncomfortable call after she warned about the pandemic's severity on TV. Ex-White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows on Monday offered a preliminary pro-Trump pushback, calling the doctor's account revisionist or disingenuous. I can tell you about the uncomfortable phone call. It had nothing to do with any of that, Meadows retorted. It had to do with the fact that Deborah Burke started talking about keeping schools closed and remote learning. And that was what it was about, because that was not based on science. Trump did not address the phone call in detail, but said Dr. Burks is a proven liar with very little credibility left. Many of her recommendations were viewed as pseudoscience, and Dr. Fauci would always talk negatively about her, and in fact would not ask to be in the same room with her. Ooh. Are we getting a little of this? That's all I know about that. Go a little Kermit the Frog on you there. Trump added the states who followed her lead, like California, had worse outcomes on COVID and ruined the lives of countless children because they couldn't go to school, ruined many businesses, and an untold number of Americans who were killed by the lockdowns themselves. Dr. Burks was a terrible medical advisor, which is why I seldom follow her advice. Her motto should be, do as I say, not as I do. Who can forget when Dr. Burks gave a huge mandate to the people of our nation not to travel, and then traveled a great distance to see her family for Thanksgiving, only to have them call the police and turn her in? Oh my God. She then, embarrassingly for her, resigned. Of the phone call he had with Burks, Trump said, Dr. Burks says she can't hear very well, but I can. There was no very difficult phone call other than Dr. Burks' policies that would have led us directly into a COVID-caused depression. She was a very negative voice who didn't have the right answers. Time has proven me correct. Trump concluded, I only kept Dr. Fauci and Dr. Burks on because they worked for the U.S. government for so long. They're like a bad habit. Okay. So, good Lord. When Trump decides to chirp back, he is the chirpitest chirper of chirpity chirpdom. Anyway, I got to say, though, one of the things that I remember distinctly when the press was talking to Dr. Fauci later in the year, and they were constantly trying to blame whatever thing they were trying to blame at the time on the president, Dr. Fauci very distinctly said that the president has followed every recommendation that I have made. They were all on the same page as far as the task force. And now it seems like everyone's starting to point fingers. And I guess the frustrating thing for me when I see this, it's almost as though they think the United States is in a vacuum and that this has happened nowhere else in the world. And a lot of times I look at the numbers for not just the United States, but all these other countries. And like I said, most of the countries in the same approximate latitude in Europe as us, with the exception of Germany, all seem to have been in the same boat. Same, and I'm talking per capita, not in numbers. Obviously, the size of our country, we have the most in number, but not per capita. There's several countries that are all very similar. And so I guess them, and also we're finding out certain things. For example, Sweden, which never did lock down. They seem to while they've had a slightly higher average case per capita, they aren't having the recurrence that other countries have. And also that's similar in Texas. Now, there is an interesting story out of Florida, though, that I saw this morning that has a whole bunch of people on Twitter aflutter, so to speak. Before I talk about that, though, let me thank a couple more people. Thank you, Cynical Lindsay, Prospero, Jack Cochran, Jim Eagle. Yes, we have a Jim Eagle on Twitter now. And also Maddie and Becca Farley, all of you who have tweeted out the show today or retweeted my notifications. I really appreciate that. Really helps. And also, thanks to Randy Monkey, who mentions it on his show. I went on his stream yesterday afternoon. Was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. I don't know. It was someday this week. And so I appreciate, people who help promote the show and help us grow. Interesting story in Florida today. And now this is, the reason I bring this up is this is the person who wrote this, Alexander Nazarin, has had his sights set on Ron DeSantis for a long time. And I've noticed that the bunch of articles that this guy writes about Ron DeSantis tend to be on the negative side. So I saw this article, which has there's a whole bunch of people who want to rip on DeSantis right now. And so there's this he wrote this article in Yahoo News that I find slightly dubious. So here it is. He writes, Florida COVID numbers face new scrutiny. Now, there's a whole bunch of people out there who say, because Florida actually has had lower numbers than a lot of the other states. They're 27th or so on the deaths per capita and have had more success than other states. However, the left, who hates Ron DeSantis, is saying that, well, he was faking his numbers, and they said that woman who got fired, who was one of the data people who got fired. Oh, yeah, that just proves he was fudging the numbers. And so now here's this article. Now, it's fascinating how this is written. And because it makes the headline that this guy wants, but, well, you'll see. Listen, we'll just go through the whole thing. Florida COVID numbers face new scrutiny. Okay, by Alexander Nazarin. Okay, it's also fascinating is that he is, this guy's deleted his Twitter account or removed his Twitter account or something, privated or something. In Canada, they're pushing the fear of a new strain. Yeah, they're doing that here too, by the way. Okay, so new research. Now, remember, new research means there's one study. New research published earlier this month in the American Journal of Public Health argues that Florida is undercounting the number of people who died from COVID-19 by thousands of cases, casting new doubt on claims that Governor Ron DeSantis navigated the coronavirus pandemic successfully. Whoa. Conservatives. Now, the funny thing too, so this is apparently this is a news article. And so why, if this is a news article, the next sentence is really curious to me. Conservatives have celebrated DeSantis for his handling of the pandemic, which has killed more than 30,000 residents of the state. Critics of the combative governor, meanwhile, say that many of those deaths would have been prevented if he had listened more diligently to health experts. Really? You mean like Andrew Cuomo did? Or any of those other governors up there that are having the highest numbers? DeSantis resisted lockdowns, downplayed masks, and has made it increasingly difficult for localities to institute public health measures of their own. And the state could be on the cusp of a new coronavirus surge. The impact of the pandemic in Florida is significantly greater than the official COVID-19 data suggests, researchers wrote. They came to that conclusion by comparing the number of estimated deaths for a 6-month period in 2020 from March to September to the actual number of deaths that occurred. Okay, wait a minute. Comparing the estimated number of estimated deaths for a 6-month period in 2020 from March to September to the actual number of deaths that occurred, a figure known as excess deaths because they exceed the estimate. There were 400 excess deaths across the United States in 2020, a spike closely correlated to the coronavirus pandemic. The lack of testing early in the pandemic may have also undercounted COVID-19 deaths, explains Daniel Weinberger, an epidemiologist at the Yale School of Public Health who has also studied the coronavirus and excess deaths. The issue is further complicated because each state has its own death counting methodology. Some states classify as death due to COVID if a particular molecular test was obtained, while other states allow the death to be classified as due to COVID if there is a suspicion that it was caused by COVID, even without a molecular test. Weinberger wrote an email to Yahoo News. Wow, that's accurate. They could be classified if it was a suspicion. Now remember, some of these states, especially in hospitalizations, you get federal dollars for this. Okay, anyway. Polymerase chain reaction tests, another name for the molecular tests Weinberger referenced, are the most reliable way to tell if a person, dead or living, has been infected with the coronavirus. Okay, what if they didn't die from that? In the case of Florida, now here's where they go. This is really weird because unfortunately I tried to open up this abstract. It's right here. And you have to pay for it. You have to log off or purchase access to view the full test. And I don't think, maybe it's possible. Let me try something here. It may work. It may not. It would be awesome if it did, but we'll see. Okay, it's attempting to do it. It may be able to archive it, but I haven't been able to read it. I'm going to leave that there. Are the most reliable way to tell if a person dead or living has been infected. Okay, so that test. In the case of Florida, the researchers say that 4,924 excess deaths should have been counted as resulted from COVID-19. Now, it doesn't say that. That's what I'm getting at. Even in fact, here, let's see if I can, where is it here? New study. Here it is, published earlier this month. Now he says, let me go back to this. I'm going to read it again. In the case of Florida, researchers say 4,924 excess deaths should have been counted as resulting from COVID-19, but for the most part were ruled as having been caused by something else, thus lowering Florida's coronavirus fatality count. Now, I'm going to read something here, and I don't know if this guy read this abstract or not, if he just read the summary right here. So here's the summary. So the objectives here to determine the number of excess deaths, i.e. those exceeding historical trends after accounting for COVID-19 deaths occurring in Florida during the COVID-19 pandemic. Methods: using seasonal auto-regressive integrated moving average time series modeling and typical mortality trends in Florida, we forecasted monthly deaths from January to September of 2020 in absence of the pandemic. We compared estimated deaths with monthly recorded total of deaths, all deaths regardless of cause, during COVID-19 pandemic, and deaths only from COVID-19 to measure excess deaths in Florida. Our results suggested that Florida experienced 19,241 or 15.5% excess deaths above historical trends from March to September, including 14,317 COVID-19 deaths and an additional 4,924 all-cause excluding COVID-19 deaths in that period. Now, and this says total deaths are significantly higher than historical trends in Florida, even when after accounting for COVID-19 related deaths. The impact of COVID-19 on mortality is significantly greater than the officially COVID-19 data suggests. Okay. Why might that be? Are there other excess deaths that possibly could be happening during a time when the country's shut down? And I'm curious if this is happening in other states. Are there, only 400,000 excess deaths throughout the country. Scotty Dubs, just FYI. And good morning, Scotty Dubs. Good morning, Amy in Connecticut. Good morning, Jason Arnold. Good morning. I saw somebody else that I didn't see before. Good morning to the gayest person on YouTube. So anyway, so let's see if this is, did this work? It's still in the queue. It's still trying. We'll see if that works. I would like to see that study, but I don't want to pay for it. Now continuing, so he said, in the case of Florida, the researchers said 4,924 excess deaths should have been counted. Now, they didn't say should have been. It said it's a possibility. Should have been counted as resulted from COVID-19, but for the most part were ruled as having been caused by something else, which they may well have been. Maybe if the lead cause, look, when you see a death certificate, it may give you the main cause and then give you other factors. If COVID is the fifth factor, it's not the cause of death. Just because you have COVID doesn't mean you died from COVID. For example, when I had COVID, for the 2 weeks that I was out of, working for 2 weeks, if I would have died from a knife wound, I still would have had COVID, and would have that been my cause of death? No. Would have been a contributing factor? Probably not. Or what if when I had COVID, if I had gone and, I don't know, if I had drowned, I still would have had COVID, but would that have been the cause of my death? No. So there's a lot of people who, in fact, there's a whole bunch of people who had COVID, probably didn't even know they had COVID. Probably asymptomatic, but could have died from something else. Anyway, that leaves some discretion for medical examiners who sometimes struggle with conflicting science and been subject to political pressures during the pandemic. Are they? So that's what this guy's trying to push. Now, in Florida, the state's 25 district medical examiners are directly appointed by the governor. Last spring, the DeSantis administration was accused of trying to keep those medical examiners from releasing complete coronavirus data. Are they now? In August, the state said coronavirus deaths no longer required certification from a medical examiner. I am sure that COVID-19 is responsible for most of these excess deaths, said Musa Tatar, a public health economist at the University of Utah who led the research team looking at Florida's excess deaths. He said he chose to focus on Florida because that's where the politics are. Oh, no, that's not what he said. Because of how quickly the governor lifted restrictions there. That move was widely criticized as reckless, though some believe that he has been vindicated by the fact that states where lockdowns persisted in the spring and fall did not necessarily have better outcomes than Florida. No, they did not. No, they absolutely did not. So maybe the lockdowns weren't all that effective in the first place. The DeSantis administration did not respond to a request for comment. Florida already has the 4th highest total number of deaths in the country from COVID-19, but it's also the country's 2nd most populous state. And they're 27th per capita. So let's not go that. Yeah, they love saying that, don't they? It also has the 2nd oldest population in the United States, a significant factor in a pandemic that tends to affect the elderly more severely than young people. Now, listen. Now think while I'm reading this. Think of how far I am into this article, because there's something that comes up later in the article that you're going to go, "Oh, now they bring that up." The debate over the state's pandemic response is, to a large degree, a proxy for the broader debate on how effective restrictions have been in stopping the disease. Donald Trump, got to mention Donald Trump, who railed against restrictions even as his own government implemented them, is now a resident of Florida. DeSantis is a political disciple of Trump with presidential ambitions of his own. He recently lashed out at President Biden as a lockdowner. The president has not tried to lock down Florida, but his administration has expressed concern in recent days about spring break crowds partying without masks, which appears to be driving a spate of new infections in the state. Tartar's findings have not been universally accepted. Lauren Rawson, a statistician at the National Center for Health Statistics at the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. Never heard of that agency. Hello, Thomas Cleaver. What's happening? And Avocados Diabli, welcome. Oh, I said Devil's Advocate earlier. Okay. Monkey's scream right now. That's okay. Whatever. We're friends. I'm over it. Lauren Rawson, a statistician at the National Center for Health Statistics and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, who has analyzed excess deaths, told Yahoo News that she saw nothing exceptionally suspicious in the state's excess death numbers. Florida doesn't stand out to me. Wow. You would think a government bureaucrat would be anti-Trump. Anyway, other critics of Tater's findings describe Florida as neither a glowing success nor an unmitigated disaster, but rather a state that has handled the pandemic with some success and some failures, with the excess death data reflecting that mixed record. Jason Salimi, an associate professor of epidemiology at the University of South Florida, told Yahoo News that it was wrong to assume that every excess death during the period in question should be attributed directly to those who contracted the coronavirus, especially since people who were never infected may still have been fearful of seeking care for other conditions while the pandemic surged and hospitals filled with COVID-19 patients. Yeah, like people who weren't getting their checkups on and chemo treatments and shit. You could have never gotten the coronavirus, delayed needed health care, and died from you could have never gotten the coronavirus, delayed needed health care, and died from diabetes-related complications. That's still indirectly tied to the pandemic, Salimi told Yahoo News, describing Florida's statistics regarding all-cause excess deaths and the coronavirus as kind of middle of the pack. Excess deaths were at 21% nationwide in 2020, according to the CDC. Florida saw a 15.5% rate. So even in excess deaths, Florida was lower than the average for the country. Good morning, lunatic. How you doing? California's excess death rate was also 15%, despite that state's governor, Gavin Newsom, having enacted much more stringent restrictions than did DeSantis in Florida. Salini runs a Florida-focused coronavirus dashboard and frequently talks to state epidemiologists. I don't think there's anything egregious going on with the data, he told Yahoo News. I would know. I am just constantly in these data. Weinberger told the Yale epidemiologist, also said his analysis indicated that Florida's gap between COVID-19 and excess deaths was about average. The question isn't whether deaths occurred, but how states counted them. Research conducted by Andrew Stokes of Boston University has shown that in pro-Trump sections of the country, where elected officials tended to take the pandemic less seriously, Excess deaths were less likely to be attributed to the coronavirus. Well, there you go. Stokes told Yahoo News that what was true for the U.S. was also true for Florida, with heavily Democratic counties like Miami-Dade, Osceola, and Hillsborough tending to report all or nearly all excess deaths as COVID-19 deaths. By contrast, most of the counties where COVID-19 death underreporting was especially high. Again, Franklin, Wakulla, Taylor, and Sumter are Republican strongholds. There's a lot of regional variations within Florida, Stokes said in an interview, describing what he said were patterns of underreporting. That contradicts what Rosen and the CDC statistician told Yahoo News. Anyway, so they're all having a fight over how they can, again, they're making the political case for why Florida's, why Florida's bad Florida. Again, I think that, oh my gosh, this may never end up being open. If that abstract opens up, it may or may not. I will leave it in the tabs at the end of the show. Anyway, all right, I need to do the show. I'm going to do this real quick, and I'll be right back. Hey everybody, it's me, Marty. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I hope you're enjoying the show. The Morning Night Live is sponsored by you, the viewers of the Morning Night Live. Please, if you have a moment, take time to share this stream by hitting that little arrow down below or up here if you're on a mobile. And please hit the like button. I know you like it, you're still here and you're still watching. And finally, if you want to support the show, you can do that through your donations and super chats, which are in the description down below. You can do that at Streamlabs link or at PDawgKnight.live. That every little bit helps. And thank you for watching. Now back to the show. All right, and we are back. So yesterday I was talking about the vaccine passports, which I gotta stop saying that, the Fauci juice passports. By the way, just a reminder, what did I say? Did I say resist or reject? Should we do, okay, let's do a poll. If you like resist Faucism or reject Faucism. I'm making t-shirts and cups and stuff. Faucism. Tell me what you like better, resist or reject Faucism. I'm not sure. I'm kind of leaning towards reject Faucism, although that might get me, I don't know. I wonder if I do a Teespring deal, reject Faucism, if they will like ban me. You know, I mean, I don't know if you're allowed to say anything even a little bit, what's a good word? Even a little bit untoward toward the greatest medical mind in the history of the universe on this planet and anywhere else, and the most perfect and pristine medical mind in the history. I prefer desist, arrest. No, we're not going to arrest him. Resist mainly because the irony against the leftist resist. Yeah, that's a good one. It seems like a couple. Seems like it's fairly even here. First, a lot of said reject, arrest, resist. Good morning, Sapphire Dragon. How you doing? Want to promote activism or cold disdain? That's a good question. That's oh boy. I want to show the disdain, but you got to actively resist. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Anyway, speaking of Fauci juice, and it's not just the Fauci juice, it's the Fauci recommendations. I think this whole idea of vaccine passports, may be the most fascist thing I've ever seen in my life. But anyway, speaking of that, apparently some former DOJ official supports the vaccine passport, banning people from doing things their peers can do. Oh, great. Anyway, Harry Litman, former Department of Justice official, tweeted his support Monday. Oh, this is the guy. Oh, this is the guy I did bookmark this guy. So this guy, he's a former Deputy Assistant Attorney General, said that vaccine passports are a good thing. It will single out the still large contingent of people who refuse vaccines, who will be foreclosed from doing a lot of things their peers can do. That should help people break the resistance down, he wrote on Twitter. Yes, he did. And what's funny about that, this is the guy, somebody that, here, where is it? Let's go to my profile here. I actually, now it dawns on me that I actually may have said something about this because, oh, here it is, Harry Litman. Yeah, here he is. Because this woman who, okay, so vaccine passports are a good idea. Can you see that? Yeah, you can. It will single out the still large contingent of people who refuse vaccines, who will be foreclosed from doing a lot of things their peers can do. That should help break the resistance down. Well, yeah, FTG, exactly, Lindsay. By the way, good morning. And Lord Stanhope, how you doing? So, and then this woman right here, who says, and look, here's the other thing too. I believe that people should have the choice of taking the vaccine, and if they want it, and they should, if they want to. I think perhaps it's a good idea for people who are elderly, because that seems to be dying, or people who have health conditions, and a lot of people who are obese, because for whatever reason, it seems to affect people who are obese, right? But it's still a choice. You should still have some sort of choice, and I'm not anti-vaccine at all. Okay, I just happen to have gained my antibodies the old-fashioned way by getting sick. But this person right here, Homegrown Jones, says, bet you dollars to donuts, they are mostly the same people who have no problem shutting out people from voting who don't have photo IDs, but they will squeal like stuck pigs that it's not fair. So I'm good with it. And my first thought on that was, y'all realize you need a photo ID to get vaccinated, right? That was the first thing they asked, or even to get a COVID-19 test. That COVID-19 test, I had to show photo ID to get a freaking COVID test when I got sick. So if you can't, is getting a COVID test racist?
That's racist!
I'm just curious. Yeah, so comparing this to voting, well, you have to have an ID to get a COVID test. I wonder where all those people who don't have IDs are going to go, how they're going to get a COVID test if they can't get an ID. COVID testing is racist. Anyway, the Biden administration is currently considering the adoption of universal vaccine passport, and it's a terrible idea, and FTG to the Biden administration. All right. China Lab, a report, now this is kind of a shot chaser thing because there's two articles here. This is the first one. China led WHO investigation on what Chinese lab expected to say exactly. Wait a minute. I'm sorry. I'm going to try to say this again. Chinese-led WHO investigation on the Chinese lab expected to say exactly what China wanted it to say. I suppose the only thing I have to say is, duh. A study conducted by the World Health Organization and overseen by China reportedly concluded the coronavirus lab leak theory is extremely unlikely despite the lack of transparency, shady conflicts of interest, and the Biden administration's concern over China's overt influence in the investigation. As in, China oversaw the investigation. The draft of the report is based on a visit by WHO experts to Wuhan, according to the Associated Press. The AP obtained the draft copy from a Geneva-based diplomat from a WHO member country. The report found that transmission from bats directly to humans was likely, and the spread through the cold chain frozen food products was a possibility. Despite conflicts of interest and the fact that China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs monitored the WHO experts, the report claimed to have debunked the likelihood the virus escaped from a Wuhan lab. The report said lab accidents as such are rare, and Wuhan labs working on coronaviruses and vaccines are managed properly. Well, isn't that wonderful? The report also found that there were no closely related viruses to COVID-19 being examined in any laboratory before December 2019, according to the AP. Well, that's interesting because now I thought they found a guy who might have had it as early as September of that year, so I don't know. Former director of the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention, Dr. Robert Redfield, said in a recent interview he believes the virus escaped from a lab. I do not believe this somehow came from a bat to a human, Redfield told CNN's Sanjay Gupta. Normally when a pathogen goes from a zoo, not to human, it takes a while for it to figure out how to become more and more efficient in human-to-human transmission. Redfield said he believes the virus began spreading in Wuhan in September or October of 2019 because of a leak from the lab. But we know for sure that there was a case. They have at least one for sure documented case from November. Now I'm at the point of view, and I still think most likely etiology of this pathogen in Wuhan was from a laboratory that escaped. It escaped, he said. However, the still unreleased report offers no definitive answers as to where the virus originated, nor no firm conclusion, therefore, about the role of the Hunan market in the original origin of the outbreak or how the infection was introduced into the market can be currently drawn. The report said, according to the AP, the first major outbreak was reported at the market, but cases were detected as early as December. The report said while there was a concern the virus spread through packaged frozen food coming into the country, researchers were skeptical it could have triggered the outbreak, according to the AP. While there is some evidence for possible reintroduction of SARS-CoV-2 through handling of imported contaminated frozen products in China since the initial pandemic wave, this would be extraordinary in 2019 where the virus was not widely circulating, the report said. Now, the chaser to that is the WHO buries dismissal of lab leak theory in the last page of a 123-page Origins report, the draft copy shows. The World Health Organization dedicated a little over 1 page to dismissing the lab leak theory at the very end of its 123-page COVID-19 Origins report, according to a draft copy obtained by the Daily Caller News Foundation. The draft report stated that the only way to increase scientific knowledge surrounding the theory that COVID-19 leaked from a lab in Wuhan, China, would be to conduct regular administrative and internal review of high-level biosafety laboratories worldwide. While the draft report did acknowledge the lab accidents do happen, it stated that the lab's leak hypothesis is extremely unlikely because of the 3 laboratories in Wuhan that were working with coronaviruses prior to the pandemic. So anyway, they buried that to the very, very end of the report. So you can read the rest of this article afterwards, but just the juxtaposition of those two, I don't say conflicting, but the fact that they buried that to the end, I don't get it. Anyway, surprised they spent that much time on it. Yeah, I hear you. Train horn ads, some of the strange targeted ads you get. Oh, I don't know. Are you getting weird ads on my? Are you getting ads in the middle of this? Not supposed to. I gotta fix that. I specifically unclicked the ads in the middle because I just hate them. People can't hold a simple job. No wonder they want at UBI. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Let's move on. Oh, the new CDC director, though, is, she is Miss Doom and Gloom. I got 2 articles about this. This was here's the Breitbart one. Hang on a second here. CDC director warns of impending doom as the coronavirus cases rise. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky sounded the alarm Monday in reaction to an uptick of coronavirus cases in some states. I'm going to reflect. Okay, is this a video? How long is this?
Per day. When I first started at CDC about 2 months ago, I made a promise to you. I would tell you the truth, even if it was not the news we wanted to hear. Now is one of those times when I
By the way,
have to
she's
share
a
the
political
truth,
hack.
and I have to hope and trust you will listen. I'm going to pause here. I'm going to lose the script, and I'm going to reflect on the recurring feeling I have of impending doom.
Impending doom. Let's. We definitely want to scare people, and oh boy, hello, and also good morning to the Asian Research Director. Welcome. I hope you're doing some research today. Fantastic.
We have so much to look forward to, so much promise and potential of where we are, and so much reason for hope. But right now, I'm scared. I know what it's like as a physician to stand in that patient room, gowned, gloved, masked, shielded, and to be the last person to touch someone else's loved one because their loved one couldn't be there. I know what it's like when you're the physician, when you're the healthcare provider, and you're worried that you don't have the resources to take care of the patients in front of you.
Now, have we experienced that here? I still have not heard of a case. Now, have they been stretched thin at some times in some places and redirected patients? Yes. But we still haven't had that situation where I've heard of where they've had to turn patients away for this. At least, especially not in New York, where they had all the extra capacity and never used it, instead sent some people back to nursing homes, which was a mistake, but whatever. I think hello, Teresa the Kid, by the way. I think you're right. Lose the script as she continues to read. Yeah, she kept reading. This was not she's still on script as you watch her reading. Anyway, nice screen freeze. Okay, anyway, I don't know. I'm going to let her continue here.
I know that feeling of nausea when you read the crisis standards of care and you wonder whether there are going to be enough ventilators to go around and who's going to make that choice.
Okay, and also, here's another one. Has anyone listening right now heard of any place where they had an issue running out of ventilators in this country, even in the busiest cities in America? Remember all those ventilators they asked for in New York City and they got, and they never even used them all? And we didn't even, in fact, the administration didn't send them all the ones they requested, and they never ran out of them. And also we found out that since then, that the goal now in a lot of this treatment is to keep people off the ventilators if they can. So I'm not sure what she's talking about here, but again, here's the script. She's still on the script. Notice she's still looking down at the script here.
And I know what it's like to pull up to your hospital every day and see the extra morgue sitting outside. I didn't know at the time when it would stop. We didn't have the science to tell us. We were just scared.
Okay.
We have come such a long way.
And so you should be less scared now because you should understand it.
Breakthrough vaccines, and we are rolling them out so very fast.
Yeah. How'd that happen?
So I'm speaking today not necessarily as your CDC director, and not only as your CDC director, but as a wife, as a mother, as a daughter.
Oh, you know what?
Just please hold on a little while longer.
Oh. I'm sorry. I'm just getting a little emotional. This is not what I need from the CDC director. I just need facts.
I so badly want to be done. I know you all so badly want to be done. We are just almost there, but not quite yet. And so I'm asking you to just hold on a little longer, to get vaccinated when you can, so that all of those people that we all love
I'm so glad.
will still be here when this pandemic ends.
I'm so glad that she's
The
got off the
trajectory
script.
of the pandemic.
She's so good off script. That was really good, even though she kept reading. Thank you, Scotty Dubs, for sponsoring the show through YouTube Super Chat, who says, why do we keep putting women in positions of power? Well, you know what? Okay. I'm not even going to concur on that. Sort of. Because there are certainly women who are fine in positions of power. I'm not so much about this one, though. I'm just not. And go off script. She didn't go off script. She was reading the whole time. Anyway.
In the United States looks similar to many other countries in Europe, including Germany, Italy, and France.
Oh, wow. This is the first person that I've heard acknowledge that this is happening in other places. But, you know, the only reason that they're mentioning Europe right now is because Europe is having another surge. And so their concern is that just like the original, beginning as the cases started unfolding in Europe, they're trying to see if there's going to be a similar pattern here, and it's possible, but and I think that's where she's going with this. Anyway, by the way, thanks, Scotty Dubs. Appreciate the sponsorship of the show here. All right, let's see here.
Like just a few weeks ago, and since that time, those countries have experienced a consistent and worrying spike in cases.
Okay.
We are not powerless. We can change this trajectory of the pandemic.
Now,
but it will.
My question is, which of those countries are on lockdown that are experiencing this? Now, I know Germany is on a strict lockdown and they're experiencing a surge. So clearly, is the lockdown helping control the surge? I don't know if there's evidence of that. I'm literally saying I don't know if there is evidence of that. To me, as I see that, if the countries on lockdown are having the same surge as the countries that are not on lockdown, then that evidence is dubious. And if you have a place in Europe where there's not a surge, Sweden, that never locked down, Sweden, then maybe lockdowns weren't the answer in the first place. And you should have been trying to allowing for more natural herd immunity and protecting the people who are the most vulnerable. But that's just me. I don't know. Healthy people get it and don't die. It just seems like that makes sense, but I don't know why. I'm not a doctor. Don't follow my advice. I'm not giving advice, YouTube overlords.
It will take all of us recommitting to following the public health prevention strategies consistently while we work to get the American public vaccinated. I'm calling on our elected officials, our faith-based communities, our civic leaders, and our other influencers in communities across the nation. And I'm calling on every single one of you to sound the alarm, to carry these messages into your community and your spheres of influence. We do not have
good point, Katie. But Sweden has their borders closed. Yeah, I'm wondering what kind of a surge in cases we're going to have after allowing the people at the border who've traveled here in their own unusual and less official way that we've allowed that we know have COVID-19, and we've allowed them to just wander into the country with the disease. I wonder if that's going to have I wonder if that's a super spreader event. They sure love to talk about super spreader events last year. That seems to me like something that would be that'd be a real super spread event. Are they asking those 180 people that tested positive that they just released into the country, are they making them quarantine on their own? Have they promised to quarantine at home wherever they're staying? Do we know where they're staying? Have we tracked them? Do we have contract tracing for them? Have we, you know what? Maybe we should provide them smartphones where they can put QR codes on their smartphones so they can be tracked. Oh, yeah, that's right. We just we're just letting him in willy-nilly. Oh, silly us.
The luxury of inaction. For the health of our country, we must work together now to prevent a fourth surge.
Okay.
And
anyway, enough of her. So anyway, well, the president, our president, Joseph Rahim Biden, shares the CDC director's sense of impending doom. But before I go into this one, thank you, Select a Boy. Yeah, boy. Sponsoring the show through Super Chat, who says, is there a time when the CDC director mentioned healthy eating and regular exercise to help curb the spread of COVID? I don't know, man, because, yeah, there's certainly a correlation, maybe not causation, but there's certainly a correlation with COVID deaths and obesity. But I don't know. That would make sense to me, too. Thank you, Select a Boy, for sponsoring the show. Appreciate that. Biden says he shares the CDC director's sense of impending doom on the pandemic. President Joe Biden said he shares the Center for Disease Controls and Prevention's director's Rochelle Walensky's sense of impending doom on the pandemic, warning that Americans are becoming too lax on lockdown measures. Biden made the announcement during a Monday speech at the White House, updating the country on his administration's ongoing efforts to combat the coronavirus pandemic. We are in a sense of where we share the sentiment of Dr. Walensky, the head of the CDC, Biden said. The CDC expressed earlier today that this is not the time to lessen our efforts. That's what she said. Let's see. Let me see how he sounds here.
I will always give you it straight from the shoulder.
Straight from the
Our
shoulder.
work is
Really?
far
Wait, whoa,
from
whoa, whoa,
over.
whoa. Straight from the shoulder. You're reading there, Joe.
I will always give you it straight from the shoulder. Our work is far from over. The war against COVID-19 is far from won. This is deadly serious. We share the sentiment of Dr. Walensky, the head of the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. The CDC expressed earlier today, this is not a time to lessen our efforts. That's what she said. We could still see a setback in the vaccination program.
We could still see a setback.
Most importantly, if we let our guard down now, we could see a virus getting worse, not better.
Now, so in other words, is he saying? Well, I don't want to say this because I know the vaccines are a good thing. Okay, they're a good thing, especially for people at risk. But he's making it sound like the vaccines are useless, if you ask me. And I don't believe that. I believe the vaccines probably will help people and will help mitigate this. And again, oh boy. Anyway, let's see. He kept going.
As many people as we vaccinated, we still have more Americans left to go. You know, we will administer more shots in March than any country on earth. But even so, we have to give more shots in April than we did in March.
You know, here's the thing. Yeah, of course we will give out more shots than any country on earth. Because, one, we have the most vaccines, and the vaccines are from here. So, yeah, that's not surprising. Also, you know, it's funny. We will administer more vaccines than any country on earth. That's a numbers thing, though. Not a percentage. There's still, I think it's Israel and maybe Qatar per capita are like twice as far as, you know, they're way ahead of us as far as vaccinating their whole populations. But, you know, whatever, Joe, whatever.
Because we're in the life and death race with the virus that is spreading quickly, with cases rising again, new variants are spreading, and sadly, some of the reckless behavior we've seen on television over the past few weeks means that more new cases are to come in the weeks ahead.
Maybe not.
As many people as we vaccinated.
Oops, that's him already. So anyway, he implored citizens to continue wearing masks and As for businesses to continue to require them, as many states loosen pandemic guidelines. Biden also responded to a shouted question. First of all, thanks Scotty Dubs for sponsoring the show. He said, "I'll take the vaccine when it gets approved by the FDA." Deal? Yeah, that's probably a good deal. You know, it's fascinating. Because I heard someone arguing about this the other day, and they were saying, I was saying that it's still not approved by the FDA. And they're like, oh, yes, it is. It's approved. It's approved. I'm like, no, it's not. It's approved for emergency use. It still hasn't been approved like at the normal approval process. So, so all 3 vaccines are still only approved for emergency use, which, is better than nothing, but very fascinating. Anyway, thank you, Scotty Dubs, for sponsoring the show. So Biden also responded to a shouted question from reporters following his speech, saying governors of some states should pause their reopening efforts. He did not specify which states. Oh, Texas and Florida, of course. Texas in particular, which coronavirus new cases are down 41%. Since just going full open, I think it's 3.5 weeks ago. Biden's gloomy tone echoed Wednesday's report on COVID-19 efforts earlier Monday, saying that a possible surge in cases has her scared and fearing impending doom. The CDC data showed a 6.7% increase in new weekly cases last week and a 0.1% increase in hospitalizations. And so anyway, we saw her stuff already. All right, let's see. What do we got here? That's everything. Let's see if this abstract came up. Oh, yes. Oh, no, never mind. It did not work. Okay, so I cannot view the abstract. That's okay. Anyway, hopefully we could see that. So anyway, what else is going on in the world? I don't really have other things open here. I know there's this thing with the media though, and this is a little bit longer article. Maybe we'll go through this one because big media and big tech colluding to control thought. A lot of their they're starting to use like AI or algorithms to eliminate unapproved information, and it's really a problem. Here's a great article in Front Page Magazine by Joseph Hippolito. Nothing exemplifies the corporate collusion to control thought better than an article in the New York Times opinion section. Thank you, The One Who, formerly known as The One Who Tubes, who says, not sure if you're aware, but the jab is only released to the public under emergency use authorization, not approved by the FDA for normal use. Getting behind this product is just saying you trust the unchecked manufacturers. Also, they have zero liability. Yes, you are absolutely 100% correct. It is authorized for emergency use authorization. So the idea that they're already talking about having immunization passes for something that's not even approved by the FDA yet is crazy to me. And you know what? The emergency use, it makes sense to use it for the elderly and people who have, who are at risk. But they're talking about having something, forcing you to take something that still hasn't even been fully approved yet. That's just amazing to me. Anyway, let's get back to this one. Nothing exemplifies the corporate collusion to control thought better than an article in the New York Times opinion section. Charlie Warsaw, one of the Times opinion writers, argues that conventional critical thinking skills become useless when confronting the massive amount of information available online. Instead, Warsaw advocates simplifying the process by limiting internet browsing to one or two trusted sources, such as Google or Wikipedia to evaluate quickly whether a subject warrants further research. Oh my gosh, wouldn't that be convenient? That's scary. But Front Page Magazine reported, what if the conspiracy is real? That Google and Wikipedia manipulate information that contradicts their political agenda. Oh my gosh, I couldn't imagine that happening. Both did that to Mike Lindell, the founder of MyPillow, who produced a documentary showing in detail how President Donald Trump's opponents stole last year's election on Joe Biden's behalf. Warsaw describes an idea devised by Michael Caulfield, a professor whom Warsaw interviewed. Caulfield distilled the findings of two other professors, Stanford's Sam Weinberg and the University of Maryland's Sarah McGrew, into a process he calls SIFT, which stands for Stop, Investigate the Source, Find Better Coverage, and Trace claims to their original content. The 4 steps are based on the premise that you often make better decisions with less information than you do with more, Warsaw wrote. Also, spending 15 minutes to determine a single fact in order to decipher a tweet or a piece of news coming from a source you've never seen before will often leave you more confused than you were before. Oh, well, gosh, our overlords well, thank goodness for our overlords to take this care of this for us. Now, while Warsaw discourages professional researchers from using SIFT, what? He believes it provides an essential advantage for the average information consumer who can be overwhelmed when evaluating online claims from various parties. Oh, us stupid little people. We just need their little SIFT process. What is potentially revolutionary about SIFT is that it focuses on, this is from this editorial, it focuses about what's revolutionary about SIFT is that it focuses on making quick judgments. Wartzel wrote, a SIFT fact check can and should take just 30, 60, 90 seconds to evaluate a piece of content. Critical thinking is outdated because it involves, quote, focusing on something and contemplating it deeply to follow the information's logic and inconsistencies, end quote. Warzel wrote, Caulfield demonstrated how to use SIFT by doing research on Robert F. Kennedy, an activist for children's health whose father served as Attorney General and Senator from New York before running for president in 1968. Kennedy's Instagram page was falsely alleging a link between human papillomavirus vaccine and cancer, Wartzel wrote. If this is not a claim where I have a depth of understanding, then I want to stop for a second and, before going further, just investigate the source, Caulfield told Wartzel before copying Kennedy's name into Google's search engine. Look how fast this is, Caulfield told me as he counted the seconds out loud. Wartzel wrote, in 15 seconds, he navigated to Wikipedia. Oh, good joy for joyful joy. In fact, and scrolled through the introductory section of the page, highlighting with his cursor the last sentence, which read that Mr. Kennedy is an anti-vaccine activist and a conspiracy theorist. Is Robert F. Kennedy Jr. the best unbiased source of information about vaccine? I'd argue no, and that's good enough to know. We should probably just move on, he said. Caulfield then copied Kennedy's claim into Google's search engine. The first two results were websites run by Agence France Presse AFP, fact checkers, and the National Institutes of Health. His quick search showed a pattern. Mr. Kennedy's claims were outside the consensus, a sign they were motivated by something other than science, Wartzel wrote. Yet further research eviscerates Caulfield's and Wartzel's own claims. In December 2017, the World Health Organization's database on medical safety recorded that the human papillomavirus vaccine generated 305,014 adverse reactions in 81,263 medical reports. Those adverse reactions, including 1,052 cancers and 168 of them cervical, the kind of cancer that the vaccine is designed to prevent. Now, we are told that these reports do not prove causation, but they have been reported as spontaneous reports where the vaccine is believed to have been the cause. Steve Hanks, a retired health professional, wrote to the British Medical Journal. In 2019, a French study showed that when injections of Merck's vaccine Gardasil replaced pap smears, cervical cancer actually increased in 5 countries, including the United States. Kennedy is involved with 7 ongoing suits against Merck on behalf of young clients who experienced infertility seizures, autoimmune disorders, and fibromyalgia, among other reactions. Kennedy succeeded in another suit in 2018, where he and the Informed Consent Action Network, ICANN, sued the Department of Health and Human Services for information about vaccine safety. The National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act of 1986 mandates HHS to regulate vaccine safety and effectiveness, except for emergency use FDA vaccines for coronavirus. Oh, did I say that out loud? I'm sorry, that's not what I meant to do. I meant to do that. Let's see. The National Childhood Vaccine Inquiry Act of 1986 mandates HHS to regulate vaccine safety and effectiveness to submit reports to Congress every 2 years. Kennedy and ICANN filed a request through the Freedom of Information Act for those reports, but HHS refused to provide them, prompting a lawsuit. In response, HHS stated that such reports could not be found after a thorough search of its document tracking systems and a comprehensive review of all relevant indexes. Well, how convenient. HHS had to finally and shockingly admit that it had never, not even once, submitted a single biennial report to Congress detailing the improvements in vaccine safety. Stated in an ICANN press release, this speaks volumes to the seriousness by which vaccine safety is treated at HHS and heightens the concern that HHS doesn't have a clue as to the actual safety profile of the now 29 doses and growing of vaccines given by 1 year of age. Now, all of this information is readily available online. So why do Wartzel and Caulfield discourage anyone from pursuing it? Regardless of intent, Wartzel and Caulfield reflect the collusion between corporate entities, big tech, big media, big academia, and in this case, to manipulate opinion. That manipulation, called AstroTurf, includes defaming those who hold contrary views. Sound familiar? Hallmarks of AstroTurf include use of inflammatory language such as crank, quack, nutty, lies, paranoid, pseudo, and conspiracy, said Cheryl Atkinson, who won 5 Emmy Awards with CBS News. Use of the charged language test well. People hear something's a myth, maybe they find it on Snopes, and they instantly declare themselves too smart to fall for it. NRA on Twitter have a Republican and versus Democrat ad. It's too funny. If you can send me a link, I'll check it out. Wartzel demonstrated another form of rhetorical melodrama. He wrote, quote, "At this very moment, more people are fighting for the opportunity to lie to you than at perhaps any other point in human history. Oh, because you only want our facts. Especially, quote, YouTube conspiracy theorists, or many QAnon or anti-vaccine influencers," thereby exposing his own political bias. However, discovering and evaluating new information stimulates the brain to produce new and more complex neural pathways, especially in its left hemisphere, which governs reason and discernment. As those pathways become more advanced, they enhance the capacity of critical thinking. But by insisting on consensus, obey, Wartzel and Caulfield do little more than provide conventional wisdom or prevailing narratives. Neither does anything to encourage creativity, let alone critical thinking. Moreover, as artificial intelligence becomes more prominent, and as people become more dependent on technology, bad corporate actors can program AI to minimize or eliminate unapproved information. Like as in any Google search. You know how, like, if you do a Google search for some things, but then you do the same search in DuckDuckGo or Bing, you get like completely different results. Like Google, you tend to get all mainstream media results. Even if you like there's some creators that if you type some, like one of their titles, like Styx, for example, if you type his titles into a Google search or his name into a YouTube search, his own videos don't come up. Like, or if you type in the exact name of his titles, they don't come up if they're about a controversial topic. But you put them into like DuckDuckGo, and then you get all his stuff first, or his exact hit that he's looking for. It's really weird, and it happens to a lot of people. Anyway, as a result, any fact or history that contradicts dishonest narratives would fade from collective memory. Creativity and independent action would be discouraged, if not repressed. Orthodoxy would be rigorously enforced. Human initiative would wither. Cancel culture, with big tech as the ultimate watchdog, would achieve its greatest victory. So anyway, that would be awful too. Teresa the Kid, how you doing? I can understand maybe that J&J vaccine because it's not an mRNA vaccine, but only if you are overweight, cancer, very elderly, or AIDS. Unapproved information equals information I don't like. Yeah, that's the truth, isn't it? Yeah, I stopped using Google sucks, search sucks. I stopped using Google a long time ago. Yeah, they love to talk about QAnon, don't they? Anyway, let's see. I only have a couple minutes, and that was really all the articles I had today. Let me check my bookmarks real quick. I thought I had something in there. Let's see. Just him. Sound the alarm. Vaccine passports. I may not be overstating this. It's liberal. Yeah, it's literally the end of liberty in the West. I'll show you this little clip here talking about the vaccine passports.
I am not overstating this. I can't say it forcefully enough. This is literally the end of human liberty in the West if this plan unfolds.
And this is Naomi Wolf. If you're not familiar with her, she is definitely on the left. But she's seeing some of this authoritarian nonsense that's coming out of the mouths of people in the Biden administration and in Congress, and she ain't having it.
Planned. Vaccine passport sounds like a fine thing if you don't understand what those platforms can do. I'm CEO of a tech company. I understand what this platform does. It's not about the vaccine. It's not about the virus. It's about your data. And once this rolls out, you don't have a choice about being part of the system. What people have to understand is that any other functionality can be loaded onto that platform with no problem at all. And what that means is
without your
it can be merged with.
And without any approval from you, that they can do it however they want. You know what? If they want to track down people who own firearms, they have an easy way to find you. Because all you got to do is have your little thing scanned to get into some place, and they know where you are.
Your PayPal account with your digital currency. Microsoft is already talking about merging it with payment plans.
Like they canceled all those people like Laura Loomer. They took her off of Twitter and Facebook and everything at the same time, and they made it. Uber banned her. She can't even get an Uber. She can't get Uber Eats. She can't order Uber Eats because Uber banned her from her platform. And PayPal banned her, and Stripe banned her. So we're not even sure if she could use credit cards to do what she does in her regular life. Now, granted, and I don't care if you think she's a loon or not. She is a bit of a loon, if you ask me. But the fact that they wanted to have this shit for everybody, where they can integrate all these different things for you. Holy shit.
Networks can be sucked up. It geolocates you everywhere you go. Your credit history can be included. All of your medical history can be included. I am not overstating this. I can't say it forcefully enough. This is literally the end of human liberty in the West if this plan unfolds as planned. Vaccine passport sounds like a fine thing if you don't understand what those platforms can do. I'm CEO of a tech company.
Pause that there. Anyway, I'm just saying it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. To be honest, Loomer is a lunatic that smells like wet bread. Well, okay. She's an interesting individual. I'm sorry. I still have to give the woman props for the when she got into Nancy Pelosi's backyard. I'm fun. Oh, speaking of the Second Amendment, they're fighting. They're still fighting to have warrantless searches for guns. I'm gonna wait till I hear there's a court case right now where they want to be able to confiscate your guns with a warrantless search, and it's interesting. Oh, here's an article on this. This is just an update on gun legislation, actually. And this is I'm gonna finish with this one today from the Washington Free Beacon here. Let me move it over so you can see it. There we go. Democrats face gun legislation dilemma as support for House background check bill breaks down. Well, good, because there's already background checks for guns. Filibuster politics could prevent bipartisan agreement. Well, that's the Senate, not the House. But anyway, Senate Democrats. But yeah, here's the bigger problem. Joe Manchin, Kristen Sinema. There's several pro-gun Democrats in the Senate. So that whole 50 vote thing is going to be a problem in the Senate. And in fact, I don't even think Bernie Sanders, at least he didn't in the past. Bernie Sanders used to be fairly reliable on voting against gun legislation, which sounds crazy, but he did. Oh yeah, Manchin, Tester, Susan Collins, Tester's a Democrat too. Sinema, Sinema comes from Arizona. Arizona's like the gun state, basically. An AR-15 should be their state bird. Okay. Anyway, Senate Democrats punted on taking up House gun control bills Friday, acknowledging that the restrictions put forward by House Speaker Nancy Pelosi were dead on arrival, according to senior Senate aides. Facing pressure from gun control activists and Democratic elected officials alike, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer told colleagues on Thursday he would bring background check legislation to the floor shortly after the Senate returns for business on April 12th. But with Senators Joe Manchin, John Tester, and Susan Collins publicly stating their opposition to House-passed background check bill H.R. 8, Democrats must find a viable replacement or not, I say. The political environment makes that nearly impossible task, according to multiple Senate aides. A senior Republican aide said H.R. 8's requirements that licensed gun dealers perform background checks nearly every time someone sells or even lends a gun to another person is a non-starter. H.R. 8 is just dead on arrival. Well, it's not only dead on arrival, I don't think it would go it's not even close to being constitutional. So there. Let's see. Period. It doesn't have the votes. Not only does it not have the votes quietly, it doesn't have the votes loudly because Manchin and Toomey are out there opposing it. That's right. Toomey is also more of a pro-gun Democrat, which is unusual. And I don't think, look, here's the thing. Here's the deal. It's very unlikely that this particular issue is going to cause a senator to get primaried over the next 4 years. I don't even think those guys are up for re-election for a while anyway. This is never going to get through the Senate, and I don't think it would pass constitutional scrutiny. Anyway, staunch opposition has led to speculation that Democratic leadership will revive a bipartisan 2013 bill that only apply background checks to private sales. Democratic threats to abolish the filibuster to ram through gun control legislation could alienate Senator Pat Toomey. Oh, that's right, he's a Republican from Pennsylvania, a sponsor of the 2013 background check bill, according to a senior aide. Senator Toomey is not interested in playing political games or being an example in background check exercise, the aide said. He's interested in achieving an actual outcome. In 2013, Toomey not only co-sponsored the amendment, but to extend background checks to private sales, but also played a leading role in selling the policy to voters and fellow senators. He was able to convince 4 Republican colleagues to vote for the proposal despite strong opposition from the National Rifle Association and other gun rights groups. The amendment failed to meet the 60-vote threshold to break the filibuster. Toomey, a key swing vote in the Senate, said Democrats should put forward a background check bill that reflects a bipartisan consensus, according to the aide. He's interested in a consensus product. He's not interested in political theater, the Toomey aide said. He's not interested in helping lead a project that just ultimately doomed to fail. Other Senate staffers reminded skeptical background check compromise could get to 60 votes, but said they could see different bipartisan gun proposals getting there. They pointed to Toomey's co-sponsor on the 2013 legislation, Manchin, as the man who helped moderate proposals in an evenly split Senate. Okay, that sentence made no sense. I'm sorry. So it almost sounds like they could get to, if you're looking at Toomey and Manchin, they might agree to background checks on private sales. I don't know how you regulate that, though. Are you going to do that the same way you do internet sales, where you have to go through a gun store to sell a gun? I don't know. I'm not sure if that's going to happen. Toomey isn't running again. Oh, okay. Toomey's a rhino. Yeah, I know. So anyway, that's it for today, gang. I put out a new short video yesterday. I decided to retool my my series Proverbs for the Current Year. I changed the name and the format. I'm going to try doing some of those little, you've seen the YouTube shorts yet? They're kind of like TikTok videos, but they're on YouTube instead. I'm going to do those in one-off little short 30 to 1 minute videos from now on. The first one I didn't really do any formatting. I just put it out there. And so you'll see that. Also, if you haven't seen my video on the Expert Boys Challenge, go check that out. That is up, and I'm working on getting King Randall to be a guest on the show sometime either this week or next week. We are communicating via Twitter DMs right now, so look forward to that. Other than that, guys, it is time for me to call it a day. It's a day. Please hit the like button if you like what we do here, and share the stream if you can, and all that stuff that you do, and if you want to support the show in other ways, that information is in the description down below. That's it for today. I gotta go. My name is PDawgKnight, and I'm out of here. Bye-bye. Hey, this is PDawgKnight, and thank you for watching today on the PDawgKnight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterward so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through the Streamlabs link, which is also in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm PDawgKnight, and I'm out of here.